Hello, and welcome back to another pen talk. Thank you very much for joining me as I explore the amazing, incredible, wide variety that is the big world of pens. And I explore the world in many different features, facets, avenues, and you see rotating in front of you 3 number 6 nibs that have a long blade, long knife, zoom, architect type of grind. I have 3. Why do I have 3? Because they were very inexpensive on AliExpress. Here's the listing. It was part of an order. Here's the other stuff that I ordered. And much to my displeasure, this is my second AliExpress order where I had multiple products and they all shipped differently. It appears that AliExpress is leaving shipping up to the seller. Meanwhile, my recent order from Temu is supposedly coming in one Temu package, which has been historically what they do. So things change, as we all know, and one must adjust to the changes because the changes are not going to change for you. So let's explore these nibs. You know what pen I'm going to put them in because it's a pen that I didn't enjoy the nib that it came with, and it takes a number 6. Let's look at these a little bit more closely. A nice crescent-shaped breather hole there. Some scroll work. Appears to just be a plain stainless steel nib, which is fine with me. I don't need it plated with anything. But hopefully you can appreciate the grind that's been done on these nibs. Certainly not your typical round tipping material that you might find on most other nibs. And I've had a number of these, Kaigaloo, Hongdian, etc., and I've enjoyed them. I haven't had one that I didn't enjoy. So we're going to put this in that Jinhao stabilized wood pen that has a fine nib that I'm not a fan of, and let's see how it performs. These have all been completely washed and cleaned to make certain there's no residue left over from the manufacturing process. So here we are with the pen I'm going to swap the nib on, the Jinhao stabilized wood, the latest one in blue, nice colors. Got your standard lobster band gripper here. So I'm going to grip the nib in this manner. I'm not going to unscrew the nib assembly. This is going to be done hot. And there is ink in the pen. Not easy to do over the camera. Let me go off camera. So we pulled it out. Took a little bit of effort. As you can see, it's very inky. It's going to rinse everything off. And you can see there's that flat spot, so when you reinsert the feed, it's only going to be able to fit inside of that nib collar one way. So in determining how a nib could be swapped and whether the nib you're swapping in is going to fit fine, a couple dimensions are critical. One is the overall length, the width of what I call the wing section here, the widest section of the nib, and of course the end of the nib here, which needs to fit well onto the feed. So here are the dimensions that I measured on these nibs. The long blade is slightly longer, has a slightly wider wing, but the end of the nib is the same 6 millimeters, which is what you want to fit well onto the feed, which is also 6 millimeters. So if you take the new long blade nib, seems to fit fairly well. Yeah, I think we're ready to insert and put this new nib to paper. As expected, the nib fit in well. And if we turn it around, we'll see that the feed also fits very well. I like the feed up near the tip of the nib. The closer it is, the wetter the nib usually is. That's kind of a general rule. So I would be remiss if we didn't compare the Chinese generic Naginata nib to a real Naginata nib that I have in this Sailor Pro Gear, bought many years ago, direct from Japan, when Njike used to do a lot of selling. I was able to get some great pens with great nibs that weren't necessarily available here in the States. If we take off the cap, we'll notice it's a beautiful gold sailor nib, and on the side is designated NM, so it's a Naginata medium. Hopefully you can appreciate the grind. It's extremely similar to the grind that we saw on the generic nib from China. And I also needed to do a Kaiglu long blade, and you can see I put a label on it because I have a number of these 316s. You know, I don't want to take off the cap every time I want to find out what kind of nib is in it. And as we look at this one, we'll see also some similar traits as far as that tipping material goes. Impressive. That's why I kind of get the Naginata nib that's called Naginata and not long blade, long knife, whatever, confused, because this is also in that long family. It's a great grind. Really do like the engraving on the nib too. All three of these grinds have some interesting features to them. You notice that the generic one with the crescent breather hole is a little bit more flattened out at the top. The sailor is over here to the right, and the Kaiglu is over here to the left. Nice design on that nib too. So here we have these three nibs that we just looked at, and as you can see, they lay down a similar line. The sailor is definitely as thick, if not a little wider, than the Naginata nib with the heartbeat in it, and the long blade is a little bit thinner. And this has a new ink, a Venta Malayan apple. Interesting, I don't know what you would call it, but in the red family. So all of these three nibs are very, very smooth, lay down a really nice patch of ink, and are a pleasure to write with. All I can say is, wow, this nib writes excellently. And it does exactly what I expected it to do with that grind. You get a nice, wide, almost double broad line. It feels incredibly smooth on the paper. It lays down a lot of ink, and it really brings out the nuances much more than the fine nib that was originally in this Jinhao. I'm very, very happy. I think it's a great grind. I think it's a great buy for the price. And I have two extra. Say no more. One of the things about working on pens, swapping nibs like I did, my hands have a lot of experience, decades of experience working with fountain pens, and you get a feel, feedback. You know, part of it has to do with that I have kind of like a mechanical aptitude, that I have a feel with machines, computers, those types of things. And that translates to working on pens and getting pens to do what you want them to do as far as writing goes. I've been very lucky and fortunate to be able to do that fairly consistently. Occasionally break things, yeah. Occasionally things don't work, yeah. But that's a small minority. The vast majority work out very, very well, and I'm very happy with them. So I hope you like this little exploration of a new nib that's available. That heartbeat design is certainly now moving on to more and more nibs, and I certainly like it. They seem to be a little bit wetter than a straight line, but then that doesn't make sense to me. But they do look nice, and that's an important aspect. So we've come to the conclusion of this video. I'm trying to make them shorter. I hope this video finds everyone safe, healthy, and happy, enjoying your pens, enjoying your inks, enjoying your nibs, enjoying everything. That's the fun part of life. Sometimes it takes some effort to do that, but the reward is worth it. So with that, we will thank you all for watching. We've reached the end, and I will say bye. Yes, there's more to come. Got the other order from Temu. So you might ask, how much do you like those Chinese Naginata nibs? And I'll go, a lot. And I bought these two pens on Temu that come with that unbelievably nicely ground nib. And they're that tubular nib made popular by Parker in the 51. Look for a coming video on pens from Temu.